A reading from the book of Genesis. The Lord God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helpmate." So from the soil the Lord God fashioned all the wild beasts and all the birds of heaven. These he brought to the man to see what he would call them. Each one was to bear the name the man would give it. The man gave names to all the cattle, all the birds of heaven, and all the wild beasts. But no helpmate suitable for man was found for him. So the Lord God made the man fall into a deep sleep, and while he slept, he took one of his ribs and enclosed it in flesh. The Lord God built the rib he had taken from the man into a woman, and brought her to the man. The man exclaimed, "This at last is bone from my bones and flesh from my flesh. This is to be called woman, for this was taken from man." This is why a man leaves his father and mother and joins himself to his wife, and they become one body. Now both of them were naked, the man and his wife, but they felt no shame in front of each other. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
O blessed are those who fear the Lord. O blessed are those who fear the Lord. O blessed are those who fear the Lord and walk in his ways. By the labour of your hands you shall eat. You will be happy and prosper. O blessed are those who fear the Lord. Your wife like a fruitful vine in the heart of your house, your children like shoots of the olive around your table. O blessed are those who fear the Lord. Indeed, thus shall be blessed the man who fears the Lord. May the Lord bless you from Zion all the days of your life. O blessed are those who fear the Lord. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. The Lord is faithful in all his words, and loving in all his deeds. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. The Lord be with you.
With your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus left Gennesaret and set off for the country of Tyre. There he went into a house and did not want anyone to know he was there, but he could not pass unrecognized. A woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit heard about him straight away and came and fell at his feet. Now the woman was a pagan, by birth a Syro-Phoenician, and she begged him to cast the devil out of her daughter. And he said to her, "The children should be fed first, because it is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the house dogs." But she spoke up. "Ah, yes, sir," she replied, "but the house dogs under the table can eat the children's scraps." And he said to her, "For saying this, you may go home happy. The devil has gone out of your daughter." So she went off to her home and found the child lying on the bed and the devil gone. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. What do Catholics do about shame? What do Catholics do about shame? For many of us, when we hear the word shame when it comes to Catholicism, some of us may feel like an extra burden, may feel that there are many Catholics who say, well, that I'm glad that I can experience shame sometimes. It means that I'm a healthy Catholic. But then there are some people who say, well, I was raised Catholic, but all the church seemed to do was to pile on shame and tell me things that I should feel ashamed about. And that when they think about the Catholic faith, the reason they stay away is because they don't want anything to do with the shame that can sometimes be felt when they think about the Catholic Church. The readings today, especially in the first reading, talks about shame, and what I want to do is talk about how Jesus solves this issue, this dilemma that the Catholic Church, Catholic faith can sometimes have about this concept of shame. Now, in the reading from the book of Genesis, it says that Adam and Eve were naked, but they felt no shame. Now, when we hear this, we might think immediately it means that they were physically naked and they felt no shame. And for Catholic ears, you might think, oh, that can't be possible. And it is true. They may have been physically naked and felt no shame. But there's maybe a few more layers involved here as well. It wasn't just that they were physically naked and felt no shame, but they were emotionally naked. They were psychologically naked. They were able to freely discuss issues. And they were spiritually naked. They had a vulnerability with God. They were able to actually share in everything that was going on in their heart, in their life. And this is the fundamental meaning of nakedness. It's a vulnerability, the capacity to be vulnerable. Now, in our own lives, when we are most vulnerable, we can find it very difficult to exist. We can find it very difficult to relate to others. The normal thing we do, instead of being vulnerable, is we wear a mask. Another word is persona. We present ourselves in certain ways. To put this mask on, it's sort of like to clothe ourselves. But underneath, we can carry in our lives, whether we can't manufacture it ourselves or we can't just repress it, we have shame, and we need to do something with it, because otherwise our relationships with other people suffer, our own psyche, our own relationship with ourselves suffer, and our relationship with God suffers. So what do we do? What's the answer? If we're a Catholic, do we have to just cower in fear? Do we have to go to confessional pouring with sweat and remorse and with just fear? Well, what we can do, and what we can do in this Mass, is that we can ask Jesus to reveal our vulnerabilities, our fears, the things that we are scared of. And the amazing thing about our God and Jesus is that on the cross, we see that he's got a loincloth, but it may well have been the case that he's naked. And what this means is, to you and me, is that the good news is that we're able to be vulnerable, to be naked with Jesus. And his being naked is his communicating to you and me that he is not ashamed of the things that cause us shame. He is not ashamed of you and me when we are feeling ashamed, and that we can share with him everything, all of our fears, all of our wounds, all of our hurts, all of the things that we can sometimes try to repress or just mask. And what he does is he ends up freeing us from a life of shame and guilt. And the amazing thing is we're able to relate to husbands, wives, children, colleagues, with ourselves, with a new type of vulnerability, a strong vulnerability. So, do not be afraid of shame. Shame does not have the final word, because Jesus was not ashamed to unite himself to you and me when we are most ashamed. So let's turn to him and be strengthened and to be vulnerable in Him.